Well, hello and welcome to our webinar on careers. I'm Cassie Barlow, and I'm the president of the Strategic Ohio Council for Higher Education, otherwise known as SOCHE. And I'll be your host today. And I want to reach out and thank the Ohio College Tech Prep organization for helping us to put on these webinars. And also want to thank our guest today, who is Karen Manzo, also from SOCHE. Karen is the VP of Finance and Contracting at SOCHE. Karen, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So we're going to go ahead and dive in, and we'll jump into a bunch of questions on the accounting career field, so that you can talk to us a little bit about how you got your start and how you got into the position that you're in today. So first and foremost, tell us a little bit about what you do and how it relates to the success of your company.
Okay. Well, as you said, my current title is VP of Finance and Contracts. My previous title was controller, and a lot of what I've done as a controller is good experience for anything in accounting. Right now, I prepare monthly financial reports and reports that are due for our various grants that we've received from the state and federal government. I supervise our accountant here at SOCHE, and she is responsible for accounts payable, which is paying the bills, accounts receivable, which is invoicing and receiving payments, and payroll. We need to pay our employees twice a month or they get a little unhappy. I am responsible for the general ledger and for bank reconciliations. And I review our expenses and our revenues every month to ensure that we are being fiscally responsible. I prepare the budget annually for SOCHE, and I help and submit any new grants for SOCHE. I am also responsible for the duties related to SOCHE, being the fiscal agent for TEDxDayton. What that basically means is I make sure that any expenses and revenues for TEDxDayton are correct and able to be paid. And I also help with the annual audit. And it's been successful every year. I've been here since 2013, so I'm very proud of that. SOCHE cannot be successful without showing that we are fiscally responsible. And by having clean audits every year, it shows that we are fiscally responsible.
Absolutely. The organization can't run without an effective accounting department. Absolutely critical for the success of the company. So tell us what a typical day looks like for you. You come into the office in the morning, you grab your cup of coffee, and you're off to the races. What's next?
Well, the first thing I do is I always check my emails and review and take care of any pressing issues. Lately, I have been on the phone with the federal government and with the state of Ohio. We've made a change to our name. It's a slight change from Southwestern Ohio Council for Higher Education to Strategic Ohio Council for Higher Education. And we made the change to reflect that we operate in more than just Southwestern Ohio. Well, with that name change, we had to notify the federal government and the state government and all their different branches of our change. And it's a long, tedious process to make sure everyone knows what our correct name is, because we cannot get new contracts without having our information being accurate in the system. So lately, that's what I've been doing. But once that's all handled, which I think will be handled by this week, that will free up a lot of time for me. But in the meantime, I make sure my accountant has everything she needs in order to be successful in her job. I make sure that everyone is giving her timesheets, payroll reports, anything else she needs in order to be successful. Monthly expense reports, monthly time cards, those kind of things. I'm in several meetings a week with leadership and other staff at Sochi. I review the payroll and invoices to make sure everything is accurate and we're billing for everything that we can. I sign checks, I review the purchases. So my day is pretty full usually.
And not monotonous at all
No.
from all of the different items that you're working on, as well as going in and out of meetings throughout the day. It sounds like every day is just a little bit different.
Yes.
So how long have you been working for this company? How long have you been working for Sochi, and how long have you been working in the accounting field?
Okay, I started at Sochi in 2013, so I'm coming up on my 10th year. In this industry, I really hate to say exactly how many years, but let's just say over 30.
You've got some good experience is what that means.
Yes, I have a small business that I do accounting work for several small businesses. They're small enough that I'm able to do that on the weekends. I've become very efficient at it, so it's easy for me. I also in the past have worked for a large nonprofit children's hospital in the area. And so not only doing everything in the department, but doing a small piece of the pie in accounting. I have a broad experience.
Awesome. Which it definitely helps. It's a great asset for Sochi, having being able to build upon your experience from your previous positions. So what is that thing that gets you up out of bed every day that you love most about what you do?
Well, I definitely love all the people here at Sochi. It makes it easy to come into the office when you know that you like the people that you work with. Our culture is great. And I really just love working with numbers and making sure everything is running smoothly. I love coming into the office every day and seeing what new things we can do and what new grants we've received. It's really great to see the great things that Sochi does in workforce development.
Awesome. Yes, culture definitely matters. Definitely. So how many hours would you say that your hours a day, or just percentage of day, would you say that you're in groups or meetings compared to working on your own?
I would say a good average would be 2 to 3 hours a day in meetings, either with leadership or other staff at Sochi, just making sure our processes are running efficiently and smoothly. We have some new employees, so working with them to make sure they understand the process. I enjoy working with groups as well as by myself.
And probably every day changes just a little bit in terms of the percentage of time in those two different areas.
Right.
So what's the biggest challenge that you have every day in your accounting supervisory role?
I would say stopping at the end of the day. I like to just keep going until everything's finished. And honestly, everything is never finished completely. You finish what needs to be done for that day, and then you can move on and come back to it the next day. But my biggest challenge probably is that, just stopping at the end of the day.
Understand. Sometimes you want to tie a nice little bow on everything and you realize I don't have enough time in the day to do that. And
Right.
the good
Sometimes
news is
you just have to walk away.
the work is always going to be there, right? So what kind of work environment are you in? I mean, it sounds like you're in an office sort of setting.
Correct. I'm in an office at my desk. I do try to get up once an hour. My watch will ping me and say it's time to stand up. So I'm very cognizant that I need to get up and move around and walk and drink my water. And so that's my work environment.
Okay. Any call that you're expected to be on?
Am I expected to be on call?
On call.
You know, I allow myself to be on call. If anyone has a question on the weekend or at night, I'm okay with answering that call. If they think it's important enough to call at night, it's probably important for me to answer. So yes, I don't think I'm expected to be. However, I choose to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us about the beginning, that first job. What education and experience did you need to get that first position?
Okay. Well, when I first was out of high school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I went to Sinclair and got an associate in arts and general studies. So basically I hit all my gen ed courses and was able to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. My major back then was actually dance. So I have kind of straightened my path to be more productive, profitable, whatever you want to call it, more reasonable. Then I transferred to University of Dayton and received my degree in finance. My goal back then was to work in an investment field. And honestly, there just weren't, as a woman, it wasn't a good fit. And I realized I really did like doing the behind the scenes paperwork with the numbers and those kind of things. So then I transferred to Wright State and finished up my accounting courses at Wright State. So I finally figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And it was definitely being an accountant. One of my first jobs, it was very exciting. I worked for the airlines that flew for Emory Air Freight. And that was very exciting. We were on the airport. We had inventory. We had to count airplane parts. We weighed bolts to get an estimate as to the number of bolts we had. So that experience really enlightened me. And I realized I didn't really want to work in the field where you have to count things every year for inventory. So I'm now in the service field. But it was very fun because Air Force One came to the airport a couple of times when I did work there. And to have Secret Service checking out your office and making sure everything's okay and being on the roof, it was quite intimidating, but it was fun nonetheless. And I got to ride on the jump seat with one of the airplanes to Raleigh, North Carolina, which is where our headquarters was. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, that was an experience because it wasn't a passenger plane. It was a freight airplane. So you had your pilot, co-pilot, and then I sat right behind them. And that was a great experience. So, there are just a lot of different industries you can work in accounting. Almost every business needs an accounting department. So it is definitely a great, great career to get into.
And a lot of opportunity based on the industry to learn more about that industry as well, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Awesome. So when you're looking at hiring a new person in your department, what kind of education or experience does that person typically need?
I would like someone with a bachelor's degree. However, if you have 20 years experience working in accounting with other companies, that probably can suffice for lower level accounting jobs. But yes, a bachelor's degree would be preferred.
Okay. So what is that one skill that you're looking for when you are looking to hire a new employee? What is that one skill that you want them to have?
In accounting, I think it's important that you're able to keep information that you learn confidential.
Mhm,
That is number one. You cannot be divulging information
mhm.
either to other employees or to the outside world. You just need to learn to keep things close to the chest. For skill level, you have to know your accounting. You have to know how to reconcile accounts. You have to know your debits and your credits. You need to know how to make things balance. You need to know why something's out of balance. So just that accounting knowledge is important. Being able to understand the numbers and how they work.
Perfect. So there's a really important technical skill in there, but also a really important soft skill that comes with the territory of being in accounting.
Exactly.
So if there was a student that you had the opportunity to talk to that was thinking about the field of accounting, what would you say to them?
I would make sure that they are comfortable with sitting for 8 hours a day. If they are an outgoing person and want to be outside and talking to people nonstop, this might not be the position for you. Most accountants I know are kind of introverts and just like to get down to the nitty gritty and nose to the grindstone kind of people. It's a great field, and for the right person, it is a great field.
Awesome.
However, if you're more on the outgoing side, sales might be your best friend.
Right. So important to find the right fit.
Exactly.
So what about if there was a teacher or a counselor that you had the chance to talk to who was going to be talking to a bunch of kids or a bunch of students about your career? What would you want them to say about it?
I would want them to say, make sure that when you're in high school or college, make sure you do your homework, follow through, take the time to actually learn the process and build upon the process. You can't get to step D if you don't understand A, B, and C first. So, especially in accounting, you can't fake it. You have to know it. So that would be the biggest thing, is just learning everything you should learn and building upon it. And I understand the homework takes forever, but it will help you in the end to understand the whole process.
Absolutely. Do the due diligence now so you can show up on your job ready to go.
Exactly.
So what is the typical career path? Let's say you're coming out of a 4-year with a fresh accounting or finance degree. What can you expect over the next 10 years or so?
I would think, well, first you have to make your choice. Do you want to be in public accounting and work for an accounting firm that does the audits, or do you want to work, let's say, either in a nonprofit or for-profit company? You have to choose which way you want to go. You will start out as the base level is usually a staff accountant, and then you can work your way up. I'm not sure what the levels are at an accounting firm, but from what I've gone through, you start out as a staff accountant, senior staff accountant, accounting manager. You can become a controller, and then VP of finance.
Awesome. And what are the typical wages for that new student? Let's say going into a for-profit company. What would be the typical wages for that new accounting student?
Right. Well, for-profits can definitely pay more than nonprofits. There are a lot of benefits with working for a nonprofit, but the for-profits definitely have the ability to pay more. However, you also are at the whim of the stockholders. If they make decisions that can affect the growth of the company, you might be kind of held down. I would say, for someone in my typical position, it would be around 120,000, maybe more. In nonprofits, it probably runs anywhere from, depending on how much you love the nonprofit you're with, probably ranges from 60 to probably 90,000.
Mhm.
Starting out as a staff accountant now, base wages are probably $40,000 to $50,000 a year.
Okay.
Just all depends. There are other things you need to look at though, besides wages. What are the benefits you will receive from that company? So there are more things involved in a package besides wages. That's
Mhm.
one thing I would like to say.
Absolutely. Very, very important. The compensation package is definitely more than just the salary or the wages. So I asked you a lot of questions. What did I not ask you? What did I miss that you want students or teachers to know about the field of accounting?
I'm not sure. Just that I obviously have loved the accounting field to be in it for this long. There really is a lot of variety within the accounting position. You just need to find your right niche and see what you're good at. And there are a lot of opportunities.
Well, fantastic. We very much appreciate your time today. Thank you again for spending your time with us. And one more thank you to the Ohio College Tech Prep organization for helping us to sponsor these videos.